Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another malicious compliance Reddit video. In our first story, you can help me? Great. Let's jump right in. This is my first time posting in this sub, so I hope I do it right. Also, I'm not a great storyteller and I use text-to-speech, so please excuse my mistakes. This was my good friend's malicious compliance. It took place in front of me and I have her permission to post. A neighbor of mine, Leslie, has recently, for about 4 months, begun attending the same church as me. Leslie has never been religious, but we are an all-are-welcome congregation, so she was always welcome. It quickly became apparent that Leslie really wasn't into religion, but rather, she was looking for new people to sell her multi-level marketing products to. Leslie sells an herbal product for a company that has in the past been fined for claiming to be able to cure almost everything. We will call these products Malalicious. Leslie insists Malalicious products cure cancer, lupus, and a host of other issues. I find her obnoxious, but just walk away and don't engage. I am a member of the National Federation of the Blind. This last week, a good friend and fellow member of the NFB, Sally, had a pipe burst in her house and stayed with us for a few days while the repairs and cleaning of her house were taken care of. Some info on Sally. She was born without eyes. She has eye sockets but no eyes. Of course, Sally is blind, but wears prosthetic eyes for appearance's sake. Sally's stay with me included the weekend. Sunday, I asked if Sally wanted to come to church with us. My 15-year-old was playing the organ prelude before church, so we all went early to support and listen to her. As we sat listening to my daughter, Leslie came in and immediately honed in on Sally as fresh meat. So, instead of listening to my daughter, we had Leslie in our faces trying to hard sell her multi-level marketing stuff. Several other people came over to try to distract Leslie, but Leslie was determined to make her sales pitch. Sally tried to politely say no, but Leslie would have none of it. Sally then told her she had no real health problems and didn't need herbal supplements. Leslie jumped on this and said she saw Sally with her white cane and wasn't Sally blind. Sally said yes, at which point Leslie assured Sally that Malalicious products could get Sally's eyes working in no time. Sally's response was epic. Malalicious can get my eyes working? Yes, in no time at all. Sally then popped her prosthetics out of her eye sockets and held them out to Leslie, saying, "Great, I can't wait to see. You work on those and get them back to me after church, and if they are working, I'll be happy to pay for your product." Leslie let out a shriek and said, "That's disgusting," before stomping away. We and the people around us all got a good chuckle out of it. Story number 2. You want to know why I came here? I'm not 100% sure this fits here, but I think you'll enjoy it. Not my story, but my grandfather's. As such, I can't vouch for all the details. For background, my grandfather was in the Israeli Army infantry during the Yom Kippur War of '73 and was injured very severely. After his injury and recuperation period, he volunteered to rejoin the Army Reserves at the unit in charge of casualty identification. Years later, '97, there was a collision of 2 Army helicopters in which 73 people were killed. My grandfather was called to help identify the bodies and set up the funerals and the like. It was a very difficult day for the country, but especially for the men charged with identifying over 70 bodies after a helicopter crash and the ensuing fire. After all the bodies were identified and their respective funerals organized, the bodies were sent out to the funeral homes. The main funeral was held for many of the deceased in the National Graveyard. After the bodies were sent out, someone realized a dismembered arm was left at the base. My grandfather took the arm and drove towards the National Graveyard in an attempt to bury the arm with the body. Upon arrival at the graveyard, he was refused entry. He attempted to show his clearance level, his rank, and even his authorization to enter the area as a part of the funeral, but to no avail. The local commander has apparently decided that everyone that needs to be at the funeral has already arrived and gave an order to the guards to let no one in. After an hour of argument, my grandfather was frustrated. He went through a hellish day and organized this funeral, only to be locked out of it with a literal part of the deceased. When the guard asked him for the umpteenth time for his reason to be there, he had enough. He took the box from the seat next to him, he opened it up, took the severed arm out and shoved it towards the poor soldier guarding the gate, saying, "You know what? Fine. Don't let me in. Can you just pass this along to your commander? Tell him it needs to go into Casualty X's coffin." The guard went pale and immediately let him through. Story number 3, Chilly Revenge. In my last relationship, I lived with my husband Danny in a duplex owned by his mother, Donna. We lived on one side and his mother and brother lived on the other side. Donna was a very abusive person and took great joy in belittling me and tormenting me every chance she got. She took extra pride in herself if she succeeded in making me cry. My ex-husband is a professional cook and would often prepare enough food for his mother in addition to ourselves. On occasions when I would do the cooking, she also expected to be served dinner. One thing I made often was chili. Both my ex and his mother loved my chili, but both liked their chili on the spicy side. I never made my chili spicy as I have a sensitive stomach. My ex would just add hot sauce to his serving and that was that, but Donna would complain endlessly about the chili not being spicy, even going so far as to demand I make the next batch of chili spicy for her. I told her I wasn't going to do that because I wouldn't be able to eat it. She essentially told me that what I wanted didn't matter, since she had been gracious enough to allow me to live in her home. I told her if she wanted it spicy, she could add hot sauce to it like my ex did, or she could make her own damn chili. So the next time my ex told her I was making chili, she came over while I was making it and watched me like a hawk, demanding I add this, that, and another thing. I told her I would be making my chili the way I wanted to, and she could go home and wait for it to be done, or find something else to eat. She left and I continued tending to my chili. Now my ex is somewhat of a hot sauce connoisseur, and he's never met a hot sauce that was too spicy for him. So the previous Christmas, I bought him a bottle of Carolina Reaper puree. When the chili was ready, he asked me to make a Tupperware container of chili for his mother while he used the bathroom, and he'd take it to her when he was done. So, like the good little wifey I was, I put the chili into the container with a heaping tablespoon of Carolina Reaper, mixed it up really well, added some shredded cheese on top, and closed it up, ready to be delivered next door. My ex finished in the bathroom, delivered the chili, and we sat down to our meal. We had just finished approximately 30 minutes later when his phone rang. My ex liked to have his conversations on speaker, and I was glad of it this time. "Daddy, something's wrong." "What's wrong, Mom?" "This chili, oh, it's burning me up. What did your wife do to this chili?" My ex looks at me confused. I just shrug. "She didn't do anything to it, it's just her normal chili. What did you add to it, Mom?" "I added a little sriracha, but that shouldn't be hot like this." "Well, maybe you added too much." "That hateful witch did something to my chili, Danny. I'm going to kill her." "Calm down, Ma, you're overreacting." "I want her out of my house." "You can't kick her out over chili, Ma." "Watch me." And she hung up. My ex looked at me and asked, "Did you really do something to her chili?" I smiled sweetly and said, "Which wanted it spicy? It's flipping spicy." There were no real repercussions from this other than being cursed out by her. Also, she was perfectly fine. And she never asked for my chili again, so bonus. This is John from /Bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to be the first to know when the next one drops, then subscribe and hit that notifications bell. I'd love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one.